Hello, everybody. Welcome to another today. Wait, this actually looks not bad. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna use it like this time. I need to. I'm trying to experiment with like different feels. This kind of looks like glary. So there's this vibe. Only problem is this phone kind of like balances the light. So I know, like, here's the thing, right? Everything that I make can be both fiction. It can just be a run another tangent. Like everything that I make, even short films could be considered a vlog. In a way, like even movies could be considered like a vlog. If you understand like filmmaking processes, and if you see the behind the scenes, if they show the behind the scenes, even if they don't, like this is real people making real stuff. So whatever they're making is technically like a vlog. It's a video log of everything. So every movie is sort of like a video log. Even though in reality, because it's just the intention. Like, is it a video log or is it a film? The amount of effort that will make it to a film though is a lot. So if you like a really full fledged film, but then like the in terms of like whether it's a film or it's this, then you can easily tell the difference. So it's having the self awareness of like something being a film, but also having the awareness that you can make a film composed of things that you do in real life. Like it's non-fiction to you, but you don't say it's non-fiction. You just like this could just be a. But then they could derive from like your other videos. If you make other content, they realize, okay, this is how he actually talks. This is like his actual. This is actually like how he talks normally. This is how he is normally. So that film wasn't a film. It was just a vlog. But if that was the only one and I called it a film, that people would be able to tell. They would just be like, okay, this is probably like, like, and but they would also like, okay, this guy's most natural in the way he's talking right now, so it's probably just a vlog. But of course, you would never be for sure. So it's like something is either a vlog. I can make a whole ass vlog, or I could make it like an actual film where I try to like adopt a different accent, or something like that. But then it would still be me in my own room. Like everything that I make is, could either be a film or something. But then, of course, there's also filmmaking techniques, etc. And if I don't implement that, then I'm just gonna look like an amateur, sort of like I'm gonna be sort of like like how most people who are not in the art community might consider Picasso, and even in the art community they'll consider Picasso as the art that he made, the art where it was just like almost like shapes and all that. It was just like super simple, like be considered amateurish, etc. So experimental stuff, people might allude that to like, say that's like, okay, this is just amateurish, but it's the ability to create amateurish. It's the ability to make experimental stuff while also being good at it. It's sort of like you're good at drawing, but you have the ability to make experimental stuff. You experiment in different like art styles, but it's not neglecting actually trying to get good at it. It's like not neglecting actually that. It's like trying to be good at singing, like actually learn how to sing, but also like trying to like experiment with and not singing. Sorry, I mean like compose like music, composing music, different like melodies, blah blah blah. Experimental. It becomes experimental, etc. So it's that kind of stuff that really matters, I guess. Some stuff it's easy to tell if somebody's good at it or not. Some stuff like you can't really tell. I mean you can't really tell. Like singing, you can tell if somebody's good at it or not. But sometimes the song that they're singing doesn't really show how good they are. So sometimes you can't tell. But in general, you don't really have to think about this. If you're like most people, you probably don't have to think about stuff like this. This is just stuff that you think about once you start getting deep into like actual like creative stuff, and you start wondering, okay, what defines something that's experimental? Because if you really want to you really improve in drawing. You sort of spend a lot of time. You spend a lot of time experimenting. Oh, did I just do that? Oops, my man. You spend a lot of experimenting. So that's what kind of makes you improve. Like it's being self-aware about it. It's being self-aware that you're experimenting. It's being self-aware that you're making bad art or you're making bad stuff. But also it's for the purpose of like trying to reach something that's a whole different result from what you've been doing before. So I try to understand how to draw better, or if you're drawing, or if it's filmmaking, and trying to understand like a whole new way of filmmaking. Of course, it's most of the time it's just better to just do what works. if like that's a job or stuff like that. But when it comes to like art, the art has always been about art has always been about trying new stuff, techniques, new forms, new ways of drawing, new objects, new things to draw, new shadows from those new objects, new light sources, new experimenting with different light sources, but also trying to like make sure you're following the right thing, like it's based on reality. So you're not just it's those stuff, it's like a mix of experimentation but also having that awareness of actually like quote unquote good techniques, like actual realism, actual high, like like being aware of that. So that's what determines whether somebody will get good at something, is the ability to experiment while also being self-aware about it, self-aware, like aware of like what actually is good, like actually is good technique, what is like the most like difficult thing to do. For some people though, like some people just live their life drawing from imagination, some people live their life not drawing from imagination. So some people like end up not being able to draw from imagination. So it's a little, there's a lot of experimentation there, and it's something that you get used to. But it's also like constantly like checking, make sure you're not just getting stuck in some amateur level. So it's like that experimentation. So it's constantly checking if you're not stuck. So it's like you're experimenting, but you're not limiting yourself. The point of experimenting is not limiting yourself. So it's kind of weird because you sometimes see people that are like, that's just my art style, but in reality they are just stuck. Like it's proving that you're not just stuck in the way that you are right now or the way that you're drawing right now. That's what determines whether you're good. Is are you stuck? Like are you stuck making art that basically looks amateurish? Can you actually draw realism? If you can draw realism and that art, then it would be just be an art style because you clearly have the ability to draw realism. So you go back to a form of art that looks amateurish and you say this is my art style. Then saying it your art style would be a lot more acceptable because it's like, hey, you can actually draw realism if you want to, but you don't because you prefer this art style. But you can, and you have proven yourself time and time again that you can, and you've also experimented in realism. So if you actually know foundational techniques and you actually know how to draw realism, so you're not just somebody who's just making stuff up and saying, hey, this is my art style, but you actually know what you're doing. You're actually doing it by choice, not because you're limited. So, but I understand that people are constantly afraid of the idea of elitism, but I think being afraid of wanting to make things that are realistic also is fear of doing things that are difficult, because realistic stuff can be very difficult for a lot of people, and it's normally one of the most difficult things to do. So if people are afraid of difficult stuff, then I don't think art is something that you can just achieve by just putting your hand on a paper and drawing it. Like art is more than just expression. It's also a skill that you learn. But for some people, they don't really care about it, so they don't really have to get good at it. They don't really have to get skilled at it, skilled according to or like actually trying to draw from reality, which is literally the only place to like base stuff on. Or I mean, it's the most clear thing because that's reality is the only thing we have. Reality is there. Reality is right here. If you base it on standards, it's always going to be a derivation of reality because reality is the only thing we have right now. Like dreams, but then dreams are also based on reality. So it's the interpretation of it can be different, but it's interpretation of reality. Right? Dreams are interpretation of reality. So if you draw from dreams, you're not necessarily escaping from that reality like context. The reality is still there. It's still going to be that thing that you have to base everything on. And even if you don't try to follow reality, you're still gonna be influenced by reality because that's the only thing you can base everything on, which is the only thing we see right now, only thing visually that we see. So if you look out to the galaxies, that's reality. If you look out to the bottom of like a pond, that's reality. So really, and any cartoonish stuff are based on reality. Just love, and the caricatures are just based on reality but exaggerated. So in the end, there's a reason why people say realism. It's kind of obvious to most people, but the point that I have to explain it just shows that like some things, no matter how obvious they seem, can be a little bit daunting in terms of like how like almost like fundamentally simple it is, but also very difficult to like comprehend at first. And plus it's daunting, the idea of having to confront, a reality where you're not as good as you think you are. It's like it's that's something hard to do. It's challenging to change. So this just in general, changing is very difficult, and I that that sounds like an insult, but at the same time, I mean, it is true. It's not easy to change something. Most time, change is very uh, normally comes to unwilling individuals. So hopefully this helps. So I want to just say that basically and just let it out, and that's it.